The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage, Baddies. I swear to you that I know how to turn on my podcasting mic. I know how to lock in, and that's what we're doing here. Welcome back to Wrestling Winedown. I know it has been 7 years, and I have missed yapping with you all so much. Do not worry. I plan to do a solo episode after this one, but I had to come correct. It's been a couple months. We've enjoyed the hot girl summer, the wrestling baddie summer, if you will, but I know I had to come correct with this one. I am so honored to be joined by Johnnie Robbie. If you don't know who Johnnie is, girl, where have you been? She has been absolutely slaying on the independent circuit. You've probably seen her at West Coast Pro. You've probably seen her at Pridestyle here in Las Vegas. She's now wrestling in CMLL. She's been in Japan. She's been on AEW. Johnnie Robbie is Miss Worldwide. And Miss Worldwide took some time out of her schedule to spill the wine on some wrestling and some fashion, two of my favorite things. Johnnie is telling us about her journey in wrestling, including how she started watching, how she started training as a referee and then transitioned into a wrestler, some of the people that have helped define her journey so far, and some of those moments that are milestones to her. We are also chatting about her fashion. Johnnie has some amazing pieces that she's worn to the ring, including customized hats. We talk about some of her inspiration behind her gear, including her Chicano roots, as well as why it means so much to her, having people come up to her and relate. And we're also manifesting. It would not be an episode of Wrestling Winedown without some manifestation. And Johnnie has big manifestations, and honestly, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for her. I am so excited for you all to hear this episode and to just be welcomed back to Wrestling Winedown. It has been a minute. We have done a lot of things, and this is just the beginning of a new era. We've started new eras here before at Wrestling Winedown, but this truly is the beginning of a new era, and I'm so excited to have Johnnie help me ring it on in. So grab your favorite glass of bubbly. We're going in for the 3 count. Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. I am so excited to have this lady on my podcast today. You have probably seen her at Pridestyle here in Las Vegas. You've probably seen her at West Coast Pro. She's worldwide at this point. She's even in CMLL. I am so honored to be joined by Johnnie Robbie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ecstatic about life right now, so feeling pretty good.
I love that. Before we dive into your gear making and fashion, which is why we have you here, we have to talk about your in-ring career. When did you first become a professional wrestling fan?
I did watch it as a kid, very little though. I watched it with my brothers, of course, like everyone else. I knew the basics, like Lita, the Hardys, The Rock. He's the reason why I know how to do the eyebrow thing. But I didn't start actually truly being intrigued by it and wanting to watch it on my own weekly until I was about 20 years old. And then started watching it weekly with my best friend at the time. And then, I just decided to do it instead.
Was there a specific moment while you were watching where you were like, this is 100% something that I want to pursue?
At first, it was just like cool to just watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think AJ was wrestling at the time. No one really knows this part of it because I always talk about Mercedes Moné and like the Charlotte feud going on. But I really liked AJ because kind of looked like me. Mm-hmm. So that's what actually I was like, oh, snap. And then just the way she was moving was insane to me. It took a minute for me to go like, oh, you know what? Like, I'd rather do it than watch it. But I guess the most specific match I always think of is the one Mercedes and Charlotte when they had, I think it was a Monday Night Raw match, mm-hmm. and Mercedes put Charlotte through the rail into the statement. So I was like, mm-hmm. So I think that was the most pivotal moment for me.
You mentioned AJ. How has it been to watch her come back to WWE after all of these years? I'm sure it has to be surreal in a way because she inspired you to start.
Yeah, pretty cool. I was part of WOW for I wasn't signed to them or anything like that. I would just come in and she was there. And I remember her complimenting me and just fangirling in my corner with Jasmine Allure, just going, oh, she thinks I'm pretty okay. But I read her book and everything. Like I was kind of
Mhm.
a little mark for her. So seeing that she was back, I guess I understood, and as most of us did, that it took a lot for her to come back. So I respected that aspect of it because mentally wrestling is really draining, especially
Yeah,
if
imagine.
based off of what I've read and seen on her end. I can only imagine what it took to come back.
So you started as a referee before you transitioned to being a wrestler. What inspired you to make this transition?
So it wasn't actually my goal to start that way. I was training to be a wrestler, but I just wasn't picking up on it. I was taking way too long to understand the psychology of it. I was taking way too long to just get the other things that weren't athletic. So ring placement, understanding the crowd, or how all of that, those little things that matter the most. So my coach at the time, he was like, "You're going to have to be a ref." And honestly, best decision they could have ever done for me, because there's some things I don't think I would have ever learned, even with like if time passed, if I hadn't been a ref. I would have never just learned it. Like I said, ring placement, where I need to be, how I listen to the crowd, when I shouldn't listen to the crowd. Yeah, I think it was the best thing ever that could have happened to me, other than other things. But yeah, I didn't want to be one, and I was kind of upset. But then I was like, I was having a blast doing it. Sometimes though, I would be like, because I wasn't truly what I wanted to do, I'd just be watching the match and be like, oh yeah, now I gotta go count. So like definitely the wrestling was definitely the goal.
How is that training like? Compared to professional wrestling training, what does a referee training look like?
Because I wasn't trying to be a ref,
Hmm.
I just did it exactly how you're supposed to be in terms of being a wrestler. But based off of when I would see people come in to be a referee, you kind of just have to, at least for most places, learn to bump, go in there, do the roles with us if you can. So you are kind of just learning the very, very minimal basics. Again, this is just from what I seen when I had people come into the classes I was in. It is at most places, and I think it should be a requirement that you at least get in there, learn the basics of rolling, at least to take a bump, even if they're not the prettiest ones. Yeah, just so that way when it comes in terms, if you get attacked in the ring as a ref, like you know what needs to be done to keep yourself safe, etc.
Who are some of the coaches and mentors or even fellow wrestlers who played a big role in helping you develop?
Oh man, that there's like far too many. I think the SoCal scene just helped me majorly. Tyler Bateman is a huge one. A lot of my move sets came from him. I do like a break your neck basically, and I stole that from him, and I call it Shades of Bateman. He constantly messages me telling me how great I'm doing, how he watches my matches. I go to him for things. I watch his stuff. I'm always inspired by him. Ray Rosas was the one that started me with training. Dude, I'm like drawing a blank because the whole SoCal scene I just love. Tito, Che, Shane, who's not originally from LA, but he's played a huge role in my development. I'm trying to think of others. I feel so awful.
You're like, I'll
Delilah
list y'all in the
June.
comments.
Yeah, just everyone from SoCal, even like whoever, Mariachi Loco, Alan Breeze, Jamal. Like, I'm always inspired by my peers, even to this day. I just love watching them, seeing what's different from what you're normally seeing all the time. And then them still just grinding no matter what the outcome is.
Right.
Yeah, I love my SoCal scene up all the way from south to the north. I love it.
What lessons when you were training still stick with you today? You've had all of these different mentors, your peers, like you mentioned. Is there anything or any couple of things where they still stick with you even today, wrestling in CMLL and doing other things?
I think the one thing that kind of sticks with me is my friend, like I said, that got me into wrestling.
Hmm.
He always just told me, what do you think is best for you? Don't listen to others. And even as like I said, some of my peers have said that. Who cares? Just do whatever you choose to do. And I think that has brought me the most success. I mean, I was told not to do the New Japan Dojo, and I got opportunities with CMLL. That's what started it. I got to be on Strong facing people like Mina. I remember when I first started training, some of my peers in my class, they were like, oh, you shouldn't do these shows because they're shindies. And I was like, I'm going to do it because they want me. And what else am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? This is the goal. So I think just listening to your intuition, listening to, yes, taking in what people need to say to you or what their opinion is, and then going, picking and choosing what you think is right for you. Because, yeah, I've been told not to do something, and then I do it. And then, yeah, I think I'm doing all right now.
I think you are too. You have to listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Looking back, what are some of your favorite memories or milestones in your career so far? You mentioned New Japan Strong. You mentioned facing Mina. Is there anything that sticks in your mind, maybe that first championship win or something else that when you look back, you're like, wow, I did that?
I definitely being at the dojo when I first got there and getting to the point where, I mean, I was wrestling already at the time, but my fitness wasn't the best. And so truly seeing myself push like that strong style, actually understanding what it means to be like, oh, this is what fighting spirit is. This is what they mean by pushing past your breaking point, pushing and going, oh no, I still have to keep going. For example, like my 300th squat and I just want to pass out, but it's just like, or I want to go throw up and I'm like, no, just keep going. That's like the fighting spirit. So I think in terms of training, that was kind of my point of going, oh snap, like I could push beyond the point that I even want to. Milestones. Maybe when I faced Takumi in our singles match for the West Coast bout in LA. She's the best. And I remember I had to be the one in charge and I was beating her ass. I'm the heel. I think that was a breaking point because I remember I get to the back and Nagayo-san was like, oh, wow, like you actually can wrestle. Like, not that she didn't think I couldn't, but you never know who you're getting in the ring with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then again, I guess to go back to Nagayo-san, when I was in Japan most recently, I had my championship match with Mio, probably one of my favorite matches. And I attacked her neck and she was attacking my arm. And I usually never fight that way. Yes, the neck is usually my target, but I made sure to like chime in on that. And I remember getting to the back and I wanted to talk to Nagayo-san about hopefully coming back for a longer period of time, because that's like the ultimate goal, right? For a lot of us. I remember talking to her before I even started the conversation. She's just going, it was a great match. And she's like, you understand Japanese wrestling. Like even now thinking about it, I'm just like, the legend told me that like I understand and you never know if you're actually getting it or not. And so hearing that from her of all people, it just meant a lot. And I was so happy that I had that opportunity to face Mio, because Mio's literally, I think, still very underrated for as good as she freaking is and how fast she is. And I was able to keep up and just hold my own in that ring, which I have had moments of that, but I just truly felt it in that moment. Like I was like, I came out of that ring and was like confident, even with like a tiny thing that went wrong in there. I just remember leaving that match and just going, oh my God, like I'm actually happy and I feel proud of myself. And then to hear Nagayo-san say the same thing, that meant the world to me.
You touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about your time in Japan. How many times have you been over there and what do you find yourself learning when you go? Because it's completely different from, the American professional style of wrestling.
Yeah, man, Japan's a mind trip. So I've been twice, 3 months the first time, 2.5 months, almost 3 months the second time. I remember the first time just always freaking out, thinking, but I'm not doing this. The fans hate me. It's silent. It's whatever you can imagine. And then on top of like, you're in a foreign country.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of having other foreigners there with me, like Amira and Ryan and Robert Martyr. And so I had the luxury of being able to talk to them when we could talk. But at the same time, you're still kind of isolated.
Yeah.
And that kind of messes with your mind on top of going, oh my God, am I good enough to be here? Am I doing well enough in these matches? And then it's a different style. It's different types of fans as opposed to American fans. So I remember just being there and always just stress. I didn't understand until I left. Like I didn't see all that work I put in Japan until I came home. I had a match with Miko, Alana, and then I just continued to have these matches with people like Danny Luna, Gabby, and just bigger names, you know what I mean? And I remember going, oh man, now I see the work I put in. Now I'm seeing where that style is coming into play and understanding different things in the ring and understanding the crowd, even if though it's an American crowd, understanding like these little silent moments or different moments differently, because I can compare it to Japan. The second time around, loved it. I went into it differently. Of course, there's moments of mental breakdowns, of course, just again, foreign country, new people, still stressing over just wrestling in general. But I remember being there with, again, like a few of the younger girls. So like Caroline, Miko, I think mostly just them. Yeah, just them two. And they're from West Coast, so they're kind of like my little sisters. And everything they were stressing about, I was like, hey, you're okay. And you're doing the best that you freaking can. And everything they were telling me, I was like, I was just there. This is exactly how I felt. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't understand. Like, just take it easy. Just, you're doing fine. And I know it feels like you're not. So I went in there kind of more like calm down because I knew actually what it was. And because I guess it's nice to have already been there.
Yeah.
So there's more of a comfortability, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I liked being able to tell them like, hey, you're doing fine. Yeah, that wasn't the best, but it's okay. Look at this person that didn't do the best and they're from here. You know what I mean? So I went into it looking at it differently, even if it was in terms of my match or even my surroundings. I just felt a lot better. I felt more at home and a lot more understanding of it all.
You did Japan. Now you're a Mexico girl. CMLL. How did this
Yes.
opportunity come about? And what has this experience been like for you? I know you're there, then you're in Cali, you're all over the place.
I'm trying. So with CMLL, again, I had the pleasure of being here before with the New Japan Dojo, representing them. So I wanted to come back, and I remember talking to Rocky about it, and everyone just saying the same thing, like, with all the sister companies going on right now, like, that's our focus. And then I was just like, okay, you guys aren't gonna bring me out again. Like, I'm gonna just keep doing my thing. And then I got to the point where I'm like, no, I will pay for my flight there. I will pay for my stay here. If you only want me to train, improve myself, that you don't think I'm good enough to be a luchador amongst them because they're amazing talents, right? This is what you do here. You have to adapt to the new style. So I was like, I will only train if that's what you want. I will stay there for as long as you want me to, if that's what it takes. So again, it was just another risk I took. And I had the likes of Michael winning margins. I talked to Rocky and everybody, and they're like, hey, Johnny's willing to throw it all out there. If you guys want to book her, then that's on you guys to book her. It became, hey, you're going to have no matches. You're only going to be training, and it's going to be like Monday through Friday or whatever the training schedule is. Again, no bookings. And I was like, damn, but okay, like whatever, like I'm going to do it. And then it became, okay, maybe you'll get some matches. And then I was like, okay, cool. I'll just still go to the training and show you guys that. Then it became, all right, we'll give you like maybe a match or two a week. And I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter at this point. I'm still going. So again, I think it was just me taking a risk. All us wrestlers live paycheck to paycheck. If not, we're broke and spending constant money. And I was willing to put myself in even more debt for this because I said it in the interview as well with CMLL and Forma. I feel like I was stuck. I've done Japan and I want to go back longer, but I know I'm not the cleanest in the ring. I'm not the most athletic or the fanciest in there. So I was like, I need to go do this Mexico thing and hopefully be able to come back to Japan as well. But I'm loving Mexico. I'm loving CMLL. I'm loving the training. It's always something new, no matter what country you're in or what the class is. Yeah, I'm loving it out here, and I'm very happy that they decided to end up using me in some of their matches. Mostly it was just me taking the risk again, just willing to go crazy more in debt.
What have been some of your favorite matches that you've had out there so far?
Ooh. I really like working for Stephanie. Her and I think we're both kind of like bitchy, and I know like she's actually a bad guy, but I'm just like, hey, I can be a bitch too. I had a match where I was teaming with Thunder and Persephone was on the opposite side with Olympia, and I really enjoyed that match. Yeah, I was trying new things that I had just learned in class. And then most recently, I've been having a lot of fun in them. I can't really pick. I had one last Sunday where the girls were like, oh, hey, you think if we're able to get her down, can you go and give her like a cross body onto the ground? Kind of like how people hit frog splashes when you're like laid out flat. And I was like, I don't do that. I only do cross bodies if you're standing up. But I wasn't going to say no. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. Like, it can't be that hard, right? And then I got to thinking, I was like, wait, I know how to do frog splashes. Like, I just don't do them in my matches because, like,
Yeah.
why? And so I was like, all right, I told them, I was like, okay, I can hit a frog splash, I guess. And I remember going, I don't know the last time I actually practiced the frog splash. And then I was like, well, you know the gist of it. It's not going to be the prettiest, but just say screw it and do it. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I remember, like, I saw that they eventually got her down. I was like, oh, I guess this means I have to do it. This is, we talked about if this was able to happen, then I can do it. So I was just like climbing up and I was like, here we go. And it ended up better than I expected. So I was like, all right, I'll just perfect it in training and use it more. I remember one of the girls were like, hey, you should just bust that out more. It looks good. And it was better than you expected. So that was nice.
What goals are you hoping to anticipate both in CMLL? You mentioned that you want to go back to Japan. You have West Coast, obviously. Is there anything that you're like, this is the goal right now?
Right now? I mean, in the end, the goal is to be signed. I would love to be signed by AEW, but I refuse to be like, oh, that's where I need to get to. Like, yes, that is where I need to get to. But I think right now I would just love to just keep doing the independence, as many shows as I can, keep going to new places, because there's people who still don't know who I am, who I'm still trying to get out there more. I still have so much to learn, as we all do. You never stop learning. But right now, yeah, the goal is to go back to Japan for a lot longer. And ideally, I would love to just bounce back from Japan and Mexico with CMLL, back with Marvelous. Yeah, if I can stay out in Mexico with CMLL for 6 months, awesome. I would love that. And then when I go back home for, I don't know, a week or so, I would love to go back to Japan for 6 months, etc. Because I think that's different. Most people pick one place to stay, and I grew up moving a lot, so I'm used to not being in one place. I'm used to people not wanting me. If AEW doesn't want me right now, cool. I hope that I change your mind. But if not, I'm very happy in the independence. I'm very lucky. I think I'm just very lucky in terms of, I mean, I put in the work, but you can put in the work and never get anything. So that's why I say I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm very happy with working with CMLL. So I hope that they keep bringing me back. And then I can't speak about Japan just yet, but like, I think that might be working out. So with Marvelous.
Okay, we're manifesting for you, Miss Worldwide.
Thank you. Yeah, I do enjoy the independence, and there's beauty to the independence. I wish there was more money in it, but it is what it is.
Let's get into your gear and fashion. So your gear is one of the first things that fans notice. When did fashion become an important part of your wrestling identity?
To also go pivot back to what you were just saying about like other goals, my ultimate goal is to have my own clothing line.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that is a goal outside of wrestling, and I don't want it really wrestling related unless I choose to, but yes. But I grew up dressing differently, and I grew up pretty poor, if I'm being honest. Like I grew up homeless. So like I would see kids in the way that they would dress, and I would have to think about how I couldn't afford certain clothes. And before it became a cool thing, I would shop at thrift stores because that's what we could afford. So it's putting things together, even if my fashion was a little different, even if it was like funky and not with the times. So I think just with wrestling, I was like, oh, one, I'm kind of like a tomboy-ish, you can say. I grew up very tomboyish. I thought, okay, well, I don't want to wear like underwear in my gear. And then I started to think like, okay, well, I don't really want to show my stomach. So I started off in a singlet, and I was like, well, I don't want to look like a freaking shoot wrestler either.
Yeah.
So I just started to play with the facts of, okay, well, what makes me me? How can I still be feminine and like still be myself? And then I started thinking of colors that reminded me. So like I used to wear a red singlet with orange. People were like, why did you wear that? That's ugly. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand that like I used to do ballet folklorico. And yes, you only see the colors, but I pulled from that. I pulled from the colors of Mexico in terms of these bright reds, these bright oranges that you can only see when you're here if you're part of the culture. So that's where my inspiration, I always draw inspiration from my surroundings. And then on top of that, I just thought about girls that were like me in terms of just like little girls. Because I remember like one little girl came up to me. She's like, oh my God, I love that you wear like this, like shorts or something. And I was like, oh, cool. Like at first I didn't even wear makeup because I don't like to wear makeup. And then I remember someone told me that I need to appeal to men. And so, yeah, crazy, huh? Like you can be wearing a freaking hoodie and you'll still appeal to men. But anyways, I was like, okay, like the goal is to be a star. I still need to be extravagant. Yeah, I think it was just kind of keeping my style in terms of like, okay, I don't need to wear, and again, it's no diss or anything. It's just not me. I don't need to wear underwear. I don't have to wear a bra per se. I don't know what to call them, but like, whatever. Yeah. I can still wear a sports bra type of thing. I can still be feminine in whatever it is. But yeah, I think most of my fashion and ideas comes from my surroundings, like or just artists I like as well. I'll see things and go, oh, okay, cool. I only like this bead right here. I can put this here. So it's like looking at things like that.
So how would you describe both your personal style, both inside and outside the ring? You mentioned a little bit of tomboyish. You kind of have that streetwear vibe as well.
Yes. You can have street style in the ring. You can you see it with Mara. You see it with Soul. But I think because I dress like that outside of the ring, I want it to be somebody different. Because like outside the ring, I'm wearing baggy t-shirts. I'm wearing baggy jeans. And of course I have my moments of like skirts and stuff, but I mostly love the baggy clothes, street style, like you said. But in ring, I'm just like, I can show you that outside of it. If you want me to come in the ring and I need to talk my then that's when you'll be like, oh wait, okay, she's wearing the baggy shirt, she doesn't have to wear it in the ring. I think I still like the idea of wearing shorts and like a sports bra per se aspect, because I think I just go back to when I played sports in high school and we would wear like, there was an athletic look to it. So like if I played softball, so we would have the pants and stuff, you know what I mean? So you kind of, I do like separating the two while also keeping it. So you'll see me come out with my big Dickies jacket. That's me showing my street style with my hat as well. Or even just like little tiny things if it's when I wear my t-shirts on my hip and stuff like that. So I like to show like hints
glimpses,
of things.
yeah.
Yes. Like I love little hints of things because there's beauty to simplicity. Like I know people hate that, but like I love simplicity. Like there's peace in that.
So you mentioned your hats. You actually designed your hats with one of your friends. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So I used to wear a ski mask. I used to wear bucket hats where my like hair would come out. And then my friend, I've been talking about that got me into wrestling and all of that. His name's Fortunate Kings. He mostly makes the hat and I just give him all the ideas. And then like, he'd be like, hey, I don't have time. So like, I'll start doing the sewing and it's by hand because I don't have a machine and I'm just scared to do that. And then if not, like I'll put the charms on, I'll put the little, whatever it is that's on my hats. But I think I started the hats after my injury. And the reason why, man, I didn't think about it till now, actually. I used to wear a lot of hats during my injury because all honesty, I was kind of like down on myself, real down. So like the hats, I felt hidden. I keep my sad little eyes to myself. No one else had to see me. So when I came back to wrestling, I was like, oh, well, like, what if I wore a veil? I think I started with a veil, like a little cover up because
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember me and Adrian Quest were talking about trying to think of a new look. And the whole thing was first communion. This is like a second communion for me. So that's why I wore the whites with the veil because that's what you kind of wear in your communion. And then I got to thinking I didn't like the way it sat on my head. And I was like, it's kind of ugly. And I had like the little clip in it too, but like it looked ugly to me. And then I was like, oh, why don't we freaking do hats? And then my friend suggested it too. And he was like, yeah, you should do hats. You can add the veils to it or whatever the case is that you want to do. Thinking that the veil sitting on my head was real ugly and kind of weird came the hats and me thinking about how I would wear them all the time for like a year straight again with my injury. So that's where the hat came into play because I didn't like it the way it sat in my head and because I thought about how I wore them for a year. But of course, you got to be a superstar. So adding the charms and stuff, it just started to build itself.
You mentioned in other interviews, your Chicano heritage is beautifully woven into many of your different ring gears, you know, how you present yourself. Why is it important for you to incorporate this part of your identity into your gear?
Because there's not many of us. And I don't think people actually truly understand what it means to be Chicano or a Chicana. And even sometimes I get lost, you know what I mean? I remember someone called me a chola. And I was like, listen, I respect it, but I'm not one. And that's a whole different lifestyle that I respect, and that's why I don't portray that. And I pull from it because that's the way I was raised. I was raised in a Chicano. I don't know how people take this when I say this, but like I was actually raised by cholos and cholas. Like I was raised in that lifestyle. So I look at it a little differently. And so that's why I like to, again, throw hints of things in there, whether it's the paisley in my boots or in my hat with the bandanas. I remember seeing the Suavecitos and Adrian Quest for the first time and being starstruck by them because they looked like me for one. And then they reminded me of my uncles and my dad and my brothers. So when I saw that, that's when everything clicked of who I wanted to represent or what I wanted to represent. And I remember at the time, my training school didn't like that because like when I was reffing, I would wear Cortezes and everyone loved that. And I was like, well, yeah, like I wear Cortezes, dude. I like showing the wrestling community or just other people who don't really know the Chicano lifestyle. I like showing you hints of that. And again, in the colors, which is like I did ballet folklorico. Not a lot of people know what that is, but okay, you see it in my most recent one with the skirt on the side. Yeah, with my bandanas, it's like, I want to be a representation for those that are reminded of themselves in me. I think that's the most important part. And then putting on notice of, like, I guess my people, you know what I mean? I think there always needs to be representation for wherever you come from, because I think of what I saw in Quest and the Citos. I'm like, oh, I was like flabbergasted. And actually, like, there's always that one person that's going to go, oh my God, you know what I mean?
You mentioned the young girl that came up to you before. Have you had anyone else where, you know, they see that representation in your gear and it impacts them in a positive way?
Definitely. Even if it's not just like the Chicano roots or those little things I'm throwing in there, it's, I remember younger upcoming wrestlers going, I love that you're only wearing shorts or that you're wearing like a, whatever top I'm wearing at the time, you know what I mean? and that I'm wearing sneakers when I used to wear sneakers. Because again, not every girl is the same. Not every female wrestler needs to dress the same. And we always get this stigma where we need to appeal to men. And so I have been, so I can't really like name exactly what was said, but I have had girls come up to me again, whether it was because I wear shorts where I'm not showing too much or whatever the case is. They just like that I'm showing a different side of the way you can look in the ring. And then, especially with some of my success as well, I think that makes others think, oh my God, like, okay, cool. If she can dress that way, talk that way, whatever the case is, so can I. We don't all have to look the same. And then I have had men and female actually come up to me and be like, fan-wise, they're just like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I see the Chicano, I see the Chicana in you. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. Because like, you don't know if you're putting it across. Because I've had people say, I don't know who you are. And I'm like, that's cool. I don't need you to understand me. It's for the people that do. And if not, I hope you just like what I'm doing in the ring. You know what I mean? So I'm doing it for the people who look like me. I'm doing it for the people who, like I said, they don't have to be like Chicana or whatever, but wearing the sneakers in the ring, wearing my shorts, whatever the case is.
Let's talk about the future. We talked about it a little bit already. You're making waves in CMLL. You have West Coast Pro. You're here for Pridestyle. Where can we see you next? What is up next for you?
Some more CMLL shows. I'm doing a few produce shows when I'm back in the States. Of course, West Coast, Pridestyle. Some things are still up in the air just because, again, I'm figuring things out with people like CMLL and Japan. So definitely you'll see me out of the country again soon. So I won't be home long once I'm back home in the States from Mexico. I try to work with like West Coast and Pridestyle a lot just because they understand with my crazy schedule how it is. So I'll be with them a lot when I come back to the States. But yeah, mostly right now, I think I'm trying to focus on CMLL, focus on if I go back to Japan. I am trying to build my website more. I'm still working on, like I said, I want to create an actual brand that's outside of wrestling. So definitely you'll see more of that more in terms of starting my actual brand.
Thank you so much, Johnnie, for joining me here on Wrestling Winedown. Where can the people keep up with you? Where can they buy your merch? And where can they find your website?
You can find me Johnnie on Instagram. And then I think Johnnie Robbie on Twitter. And then my website's Johnnie Robbie. I usually post it. But yeah, just Johnnie Robbie kind of everywhere.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We are on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. We also have our official merch store, which you can find at shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!